everyone, welcome To Be an Artist. I'm here with Chris Cunningham today. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Petra.
I know this was a really short intro, but you're one of the people I have actually not worked before in real life with, so thanks for doing this.
Thank you. Yes.
How would you describe yourself as an artist?
Old. I do my own thing and always have done, and that has always been the aim for me. Is always to not get trapped into a sort of a job, as it were, as an artist, but to just be creative as an outlet for my life, basically.
Yeah.
For younger people, I suppose, never give up, because as I get older, I'm having more fun and more creative things are happening now than probably for a long time. So it's nice. It's a really nice place to be at the minute. Good place.
That's amazing. How did you get started in art?
School was always drawing, always sort of playing with images and things like that, and it was always a private secret world I could go to that was my thing. I had 4 brothers, so everything was you had to fight for space, fight for food, fight for attention, all that. But art for me was always an escape, if you like, into my own little world, where I could invent my own rules and I could be happy, if you like, and find my own way. And that's, you know, it's always been the same. It's a lot of it is in here, you know, not technical in any way. It's more a sort of intuitive and sort of a feeling thing rather than anything else.
That's amazing. And have you always continuously done art, like since a child to now, or were the times when
Well, yeah, it's times when it became, I think that almost like a trap into feeling you've got to earn money from it, you've got to be perceived as good at it, you've got to justify it, all those things, and your own ego is all mixed up into that. So it can be very difficult. And if you're not selling work, if you're not making money, it all seems so difficult and hard and whatever. It's more or less, as I've learned, to like, forget about all of that. What do you enjoy doing? And I enjoy doing what I do. Then I'm happy. And from that, other things come. And you know, that's the way I approach it now, that I don't approach it trying to reach a standard or reach a particular end or a particular style or a method or anything like that. It's the fun of playing, if you like, with images and ideas.
That's amazing. Judging from your pictures that you post on Instagram, the standard doesn't seem to be very low. That's great.
I post a lot. So yeah. With time, I suppose you get to a point with what you enjoy doing, but I'll post, repost, I'll use Photoshop to blend images, play, and it's where, because I'm not tied to any specific end, if you like, I can enjoy the process. And 9 times out of 10, you almost have it, and then you spoil it by just adding a bit more or turning it the wrong way around or whatever. But not to worry about that, just to carry on enjoying and get where the doing is the important thing, to me anyway.
That's amazing. How long does it normally take you to paint one of your works, or does it vary?
It used to be very quick, because I used to use watercolors and acrylic, and very quick and easy, and then a long hankering to. I used to use oil paint a long time ago, and I sort of drifted away from that. when we had children, it was like didn't want that, you know, sort of leave anything out that would, you know, poison anybody, or they could spill it or whatever. So it was moved to acrylics, very easy. And then I wanted to get back into it, but I've forgotten how long everything takes to dry or process, which I sort of thought that's what I need to do. And I found it quite frustrating, but it's been nice sort of like relearning lots of things and learning to be patient, which is my best skill, if you like. It's you know, it's one of those things, but it's been great. It's a challenging myself into a method of working, which I have to rethink now what I've got into the habit of. And that can be, as I say, frustrating, but it also can be a lot of fun as well, because when it sort of works, there's a lot of satisfaction. When it doesn't, it's okay. But you can paint over, you can scrape it off, you know, so it's not permanent. You know.
Do you mainly paint on canvas?
Yes. Again, re-evaluating anything. I was talking to a friend and they always use wooden board. I thought, oh, right, why? I said, well, you've never done that. I said, no, not really. So, well, you want to try it? And like, yeah, I'd like to try it. And that's where I'm at the minute, where I'm trying lots of different things again. And because I'm not worried about outcome, it's for the pleasure of trying and failing, if you like, and failing again and again and again, but enjoying the doing again. You know, that's the thing I like. So, yeah.
It's interesting because I'm taking this experimental film course at the moment. So it's all about experimentation. And she said the important question is never why you're doing something. The important question is always what do you want to express? You know, what are my resources? What do I have to do to get there?
Yeah.
But never, as she was like, if you start explaining why you're doing something, you either spend the whole day explaining or you're gonna be miserable.
Yeah. I think, yeah, again, with technology, you can get hung up on all the technicality for filmmaking or whatever, and it can be very intimidating as well. And it's that sort of breaking through to just almost to explore for yourself, isn't it? And try and express yourself through it. And it's sometimes good to do it on your own, but other times, you know, you need to sometimes speak to people and learn a bit and steal a bit of their skills and ideas, or, you know, why are you struggling in this way? Why don't you do it the other way around? Why, you know, and it's sometimes you need a friend to just guide you a little bit, you know. So.
Do you do your own exhibitions? Do you organize your own exhibitions, or?
That's what I've been doing, and I mean, it was great with the London Jazz Festival one with all the girls that I was with. It was just fantastic, and the way the collaboration and that sort of the spirit of it all was an honour to be part of. It was really nice, and it's sort of like it gave me a lot of ideas to perhaps change the way I work and to sort of look at doing more collaborative things. It was always more, I was thinking, not good enough to be amongst other things. And now you think, no, that's not the issue. It's the spirit that's important, and the sharing that's incredible. You get a lot from that.
Yeah, the energy was really amazing at the place.
Yes,
I think it brought a lot of people closer to art.
Yeah, and it was the mixture, wasn't it, of, you know, the painting performance, the dancing, the music, photography, the mixture of everything in a nice place with nice people. You just think, yeah, there's a lot of energy here that is so positive, all of it positive. After 2 years of negative life for so many people, it was great to be part of something that was just life affirming. I think that's it.
How was the lockdown for you? Did you just lock yourself in and paint, or was that less inspiring for you to paint?
A mixture, yeah. I found sometimes I had more time than I'd normally have, which you'd think great, but often that didn't result in very much happening, almost as if having too much thinking time, too much, you could get everything right before you start because there's no time constraint. Whereas if you've got time to today, you've got to do it because tomorrow something else happening. You have to get on with it and do it. And sometimes that's what I need. I need somebody else to tell me to forget about all of, the list of things you could do right. Just start painting and then see what happens. And I'm always happy when that starts. So the lockdown was, it was just a sort of, there were time, I did a lot of walking as well. So a lot of, and that was good. That was a nice thing because it was almost like compulsory to go every day for a walk, but for no purpose, if you like, just to walk and see the sky and see the trees and all that sort of thing. So very good.
Yeah, I know, I did that too. I had the same lap around Victoria Park every day just to get some sunlight because it was like
Yeah.
I'm just sitting in front of my computer the whole day otherwise.
Yes. Victoria Park's fantastic, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
but every day I did the same, I did a similar thing where it was more or less the same walk.
Yeah.
And I thought, fantastic, it's so near my house. There's a little lake where the fish were coming right to the surface and the weather was so good. And it's like, oh, this is amazing. But after 2 years, I knew every little bit. And it was almost like, no, I need to go elsewhere and find new places to walk. It was sort of, I exhausted the possibility.
What do you do to inspire? What inspires you?
Everything and nothing. A lot comes from, I suppose, sort of imagination. I'm not particularly fixed on replicating images that I see. It's just thought and feeling and things like that, which gets you off the hook of it can be whatever you want it to be. But sometimes I do have to sort of say, no, you need to address a certain fix on something that you want to express. And sometimes that's difficult or harder to do, but I think the results often is more rewarding that you do that. Always have music on, and the sort of often is, I don't actually listen to jazz a lot unless I'm painting, and it's a funny thing. It's sort of like with painting, it seems to fit. So sort of music, time, the walks have always been good for, a bit of inspiration. And I love looking at images of other art and things like that. So.
Before you said that in the beginning you were so fixed on trying to earn money with your art, because I guess when you're younger, you just want to be taken seriously, and the only way to be taken seriously as an artist is to defy the stereotype that you're a poor artist, in a way, because nobody really cares about the creativity. Like they're like, well, what do you really do?
Yeah. Well, how much did you get?
Yeah.
Here's my picture there. Well, how much he's selling, or has anybody bought it? And it's like it's always brought down to that rather than that's interesting or why or whatever. I suppose it's the end. Art's been commodified, and that's the world you live in. But it's, not everybody can be Picasso or whatever. There's an awful lot of people, that is not the reality. It's a different reality. But the need for expression is universal, and it's, all ages, all sexes, all creeds, all colours, or every country in the world. That's what people need to do to find an outlet. And if you you restrict it just to, a monetary value, a lot of people, it sort of kills it for them. It becomes a sort of unpleasurable activity because it's, doesn't make much money, or, it's isn't going to sell, therefore what's the point in it, rather than, the point is the doing of it, and that's the fun of it. And if it sells, lovely, but if it doesn't matter. You've spent some time enjoying and expressing yourself. I think that's important.
Do you archive all your works, or do you ever just chuck them out? Like be like, okay, you gone.
I'm looking around. I'll show you. I've got sort of, I have too many, but I can't. They're all like they all mean something to me in a way, and I should be more ruthless. But it's funny because 5 years later, suddenly you think, oh, I haven't done anything like that. But I was probably on the right track then, and I've gone on the wrong track or a different path. That sort of works. And this is always a terrible thing. If I just paint over that with another, and then it changes again. It has another life. But I know what's sort of there, and it's like has a spirit in it. But far too many unfinished, half done, ideas and expressions, if you like. So not the best. I have a friend whose everything is meticulous, everything is archived. He replicates, does very big canvases, and then does a replica on a smaller canvas. And it's all sort of, he has indexes with them all in, dates, times, all that sort of thing. Like, yeah, that would be a very good thing to do, but I've never ever managed to do it.
I guess that I never have the problem as a dancer.
Well, yeah.
No stories.
It's memories, isn't it? Yes. And it's funny, isn't it, that the actual doing of the dance is so important, whereas you wouldn't say, well, I don't know, you might have it, but do you have people wanting you to qualify with a monetary value to what you do?
Yeah, I'm actually somebody that's quite interested in getting paid, because I think it's not for me like a creative thing that I need to get paid in order to justify doing art. But I think dancers just get underpaid in general, and so many people takes advantage of you, and it's wear and tear on your body. So I'm actually somebody, I always try to kind of monetize things, even though, like, obviously when you do collaborations or experimentation, that's on you.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it, that often venues and things will pay for the bar staff or for things, but they won't pay for entertainment. They won't pay for, they just assume, it's good publicity or whatever, and they don't pay, or they pay very low amounts of money. You think it's not fair,
But it's even big production companies sometimes that offer you jobs that you should get paid for, like MTV or the BBC, for experience.
Yes,
And
yeah.
Some of the biggest companies out there, and we don't need that experience. Like,
no.
experience, we're training our whole lives, Like,
you have plenty of experience. Yeah, it's the money, isn't it? You need. Yes, yeah. How long have you been involved with the Women in Jazz Media?
Women in Jazz Media for me is a new thing. I only got involved because AURELIE got involved. But I've been dancing for Resonance since 2019.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
You enjoy that?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love it because I love you. The funny thing is, when I want to be inspired, because I feel like when I go watch dance shows, I'm always studying. So it's not really, I'm not really enjoying it. I mean, I'm enjoying it to a certain extent, but it's not really that I let go all guards and watch it. So when I'm kind of stuck for inspiration, I actually always go to arts gallery. So I always had this, appreciation for art, because I felt like I see something, I see the colors, I see, abstract or like figurative paintings, and that's kind of how I think when I dance. Sometimes I think more in an emotional way, but sometimes I want to tell a complete story. So for me, it's very inspiring to go to arts galleries, and I go to, exhibitions all the time. So it was great when I met AURELIE by coincidence when I was performing and she was painting. And then she's like, hey, I'm doing this project. You should come to a rehearsal. And that's just how we started. I just showed up.
Yeah. I think it brings the things together, doesn't it? The sort of synergy of the expression of the dance and the painting and the music. It's fantastic.
And I think it's like for an audience, it's also great because they don't have to choose. Like they get hit from
all sides.
aspects.
Yeah.
Like the only thing we need is food. We need like food pairing now.
Yes.
Like, how did
There's
you
the
get
chef
involved?
to make to fit
That would be
the
great.
dancing.
Like
well, that venue
chocolates?
was perfect. The venue was perfect, wasn't it, for that?
Yeah.
So
It was my first time performing there, and I didn't think, I was actually quite shocked when they told us the venue, because I was like, oh, that sound like they do I thought they do dinner jazz and like that kind of stuff, like a mini running.
Quite formal. Yes.
But
good fun.
They seem to be really open for all kind of stuff. How did you get involved?
It was through Fiona Ross, and she sort of invited me down, or she invited me to do some just some sketches and things like that, and done some work for Fiona for her albums and things like that. And that was just really nice, because it was sort of, again with lockdown, quite isolated, because I live in the Midlands. So to come down to London would have been nice and easy, and it was like that was the first time for 2 years that was the first time I've been back to London for 2 years. So it was great to be part of humanity again, rather than sort of isolated. And I think everybody's felt that. So there's a lot of nice positive energy, and it's such a great thing that getting together, with the music and everything.
Like for me, it doesn't seem real that this happened. Like it seems like a dream or something like that. It doesn't seem, I feel like, because there's nothing, there are no memories of that year. Like
every day was the same for 2 years. Really odd. Yes. Yeah. Because 2 years previously, I was my nephew was playing in Camden, and I'd gone down, and it was the same sort of process, going down there, staying in London, seeing play, great atmosphere, fantastic and everything. And then 2 years later, you're coming back, but there's almost like there was nothing in between. No, a walk around the lake and sitting in the garden. It was very, very strange. Tough for young people, tough for youngsters.
I feel like the things that happened, I really remember them vividly, because there was so few things. So sometimes when you do gigs, you do gig after gig, and you don't, it blurs into like one thing. But during the lockdown, I still remember how long editing the film took me that I made, and like this and that. It's like, it's crazy how
it becomes special. Yeah.
Do you think the appreciation for the arts of the general public has become more during this experience, where they didn't have it, where they couldn't take it for granted?
I don't know. I think a lot of friends of it. What it has done is made them have to think about, I suppose, like any big event, or war or famine or whatever. You have to reevaluate everything, and I suppose that in that is things that they cherish and like. It puts a value on doing things, or friends and family and events and things like that. Whereas before, I certainly just took it for granted. Next week you could do something else. There was no pressure to enjoy particularly anything. There was always something else. Whereas now it's like, make sure you make the most of a cup of coffee and a cafe or something like that. It's it's a crazy world now, isn't it? But hopefully getting better.
Yeah, I think everybody's hoping that.
Yeah. So were you able to dance? Sorry.
So I did a few live streams. I did one with Cleveland as a tap dancer, and I think with Resonance we did 3. And then I actually used the time to study a lot. There was one of my teachers from the United States was doing regular Zoom lessons. So I did that because I had the time. and I started getting into filmmaking. So I started dabbling in experimental filmmaking, and I did a course at CityLit, and I started really liking it because, yeah, it was another creative outlet, and it also kind of gives you a chance to reach a wider audience, and because you don't have to be there for people to see your film. So
Yes. Yeah,
yeah.
extends that. Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it can take on a different and new life, can't it? A performance is one thing, but the film of the performance can be something quite different and extend it, you know, and you can always revisit it and take from it and change it and edit it. And,
yeah, it is something I definitely want to keep up, is the filmmaking, because first of all, I really like the medium film, especially experimental film, because it's based on experimentation. So like you said, it's not based on any expectations or any certain outcome. You kind of start experimenting and then you edit, you just chuck things on a hard drive, you know, nothing bad happens to you. And if you end up with something you like, then you show it. It's like a no pressure kind of thing. So definitely want to keep that up. But I really missed performing because I'm an improviser. So in order to improvise, I mean, I guess I really like Zoom. I would have done more live streams if I could, but like a lot of people were just not really up for it.
Yeah.
Because for me, it wasn't, I wasn't exhausted by live streams personally. I could still, like, you know, feel the energy of the togetherness, even if it was via Zoom. But like for some people it was hard. Some musicians didn't like it. Some people, I don't know, they were like, oh no, this is meant to be live. Whereas I grew up watching art on the TV. Like I come from a really small town, so we didn't have a theater or a jazz club or anything like that. So I watched TV for years. So for me, it was just like back to basics in a way. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't a terrible thing to watch streams. I still watch streams, and now everything's open again.
Yeah. As a child, we we lived in a little village, and to go, I think we used to go to the cinema on holiday when we went on holiday, and the cinema was about an hour and a half away from home on the bus. So it was like a very rare outing sort of thing. So probably that's why I did a lot of drawing and imagining and whatever. But TV was the thing, you know. So sort of that was the thing. But no theatres, no, very rare. It was, you know, so it was a lot older, and it was like, oh, you know, this is fantastic, you know.
Where did you grow up?
Near Nottingham.
Okay.
And I live there, near there now, sort of thing. So yes, not too far from London. But for the last 2 years, it's been like 1,000 miles away from London. But it's on the train. It's only an hour and 20 minutes. You know.
What's the art scene like there?
It's nice. It's small. It's not. There's no major galleries. The main galleries tend to either it's super commercial, you know, of a style, a type, you know, that sells, and that's good. And the bigger ones tend to be bringing artwork in from London or elsewhere. So it's difficult for the local scene to get anything other than sort of in the little town and, you know, make its own way. But that has its own value. It's nice in its own way, you know. And there's some interesting stuff going on, and sort of little groups of good artists. You know, it's nice.
Do you all know each other? Is it
I'm more on my own, but I have friends who are in groups, and they you know. But that's what I was saying about earlier, that maybe more I'm going to do more, because I really enjoyed the London experience with the exhibition and RÉVES, and it was nice in itself, see. But it sort of thought, that's why I need to be doing more of that up here on a regular basis. Sort of thing.
We should try and find a venue in Nottingham.
Yes, yeah.
You think they'd be up for it? We just have to be convincing.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we. It's funny. I'm talking to a friend who's got a little brewery, and they have an entertainment side there where they have music on and things like that. And I thought this would be great to get everybody up to do a show sort of thing. But yeah, it'd be good. You know, we could mix it up with a bit of music and get some painting going and some dancing, and it could be good fun.
You said you used to do sketching. Did you used to do that at like music gigs or?
No, I've never. It was again that I thought that's fantastic. Watching as a performance almost of creative, I thought that was fantastic work. Brave as well, very brave, because you can't pretend, you can't, you know, you're there. It's open and it's visible and it's shared. But that's fantastic, and I thought that was really something quite spectacular, and it's, you know, bravery as well to do that. So I know it's always been, apart from I've done some life drawing classes and things like that, but it's always been sketching my own thing, doing my own place, you know, that sort of thing.
Do you have a studio in your house where you work from?
No, I use a room that is basically full of materials and artwork and easels and turpentine, and you know, I'm always getting told off by my wife that it smells of linseed oil, and when are you going to tidy it up, and you should archive it. But it's great. It's great. It's a sort of,
and you're like, it's archived everywhere in the house. What's your problem?
I just need to do some more painting, then all will be good. Yeah, constantly. I never reach a point where I'm satisfied, if you like. So
yeah.
So
that's interesting. How many paintings do you reckon you paint like a year?
I don't know. People tell me far too many. Constantly. I've got friends who spend an awful long time on one piece of work and put in a huge amount of thought, skill, effort, time, and I can't. I'm not able to do that. I'm too impulsive, and whenever I've tried, when I was younger, I used to try to do that, and it was almost like, and then I'd just, you know, it would just not work. So now I've said, don't worry about that. Just go. If you want to do it, do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. And so if you watch on Instagram, there's a lot of things keep appearing. Some are old ones that I just show, but I'm always 2 or 3 pictures on the go at any time. But just for the expressive nature of what it is, the act of painting and creating, not with any particular end in sight often. It's just, with the colours and the paint and the shapes. Yeah,
that's interesting. Do you mix your own colour? Or
Yeah, I try to. I'm not great. I'm not. Again, it comes back to the same thing of almost like painting is like following a recipe. And there are certain things that you should do and prepare and let it dry and mix it this way. And I'm too impulsive sometimes, and I can't do that. So I'm always trying to do the right thing, but it always, has its own life, if you like. But I've resigned myself to that. I'm not a skilled graphic artist, if you like, and I haven't got the wherewithal or the patience and the ability to sort of step back and just take a breath and slowly get that right. It's bang, but that's the way it is.
I feel like it's kind of like me, because I've got ADHD, and I feel like it's really difficult for me to sit on something. I need the excitement of the newness to really reach my full potential.
Yes.
So I really like to get things out of my system, also because when I get excited about something, I get excited to like a completely different level. And then I just need it out of my system, you know, like I need to create it, perform it, done.
Yeah. And is that why dancing is always, is that the way you found to express that energy and that sort of excitement?
Yeah, I approach most things in life like that, but dancing came in handy because it's a good job to have when you are that way inclined. But for
Yes.
example, when I was younger, I tried to audition. I didn't really do my own thing yet. I was auditioning and then working for other people. And I wasn't as happy. I was obviously it's cool and you do new things, but you were kind of like stuck in the same way because you had to fit in.
Yes.
At
Yeah.
least it's
Here are the
the
steps.
bracket, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I started creating my own work and do more independent projects, I suddenly was loving it much more, but also I was much more in demand. People were like calling me much more because I think as soon as you put out there who you really are, it kind of shows and it attracts other people.
Yes. Yeah. It's more than yeah, it creates a greater energy, doesn't it, than the actual piece, as it were. They see you as well. Yeah. Yeah.
And also I think when I started improvising, it really changed because if you do choreographed works, you just gonna have to stick with it at least for long enough to learn the choreography.
Yeah. But that's the same what I'm talking about. It's like I have a friend who's a very technically gifted artist, and he keeps saying, now if you do this and then you do that and then you do that and then you can do that now. And I get to about the second or third point where I should be, and it's gone. And then he said, well, why? Well, I told you, I wrote it down for you what to do. And you know, you haven't mixed it right, and you didn't do it this way, and you used it upside down. And you know, I can't. But that's me, if you like. So I'm resigned to it. But I think it's also your personality and who you are. You can't hide that. You can't change that.
But in the end of the day, I think it's your style of painting, because if you'd paint differently, it wouldn't be style.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you can really recognize people's work, like, and you know, if you would try to fake something else, it would show. It wouldn't look like your work.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, and for me, I find that I don't have any pleasure from a restricted process. It has to sort of give me something as well. I can't. It's not just like a technical exercise. I can't. It's not capable. So it just has to be expressive, like a child, as it were. So I haven't grown up yet.
Do you want to?
No. 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 Give me youth.
Did you go to arts college or anything like that?
No, it was quite interesting. I had places at art college, and then the school I was at, all the guys that I did art with, it was a boys' school. I think there was 6 all going to go to the same art school for the first year, and I couldn't. It was almost like staying at the same school. I couldn't go, so I went and did something else, and I sort of regretted it or whatever, but in a way it freed me from having to be an artist, and allowed me to be an artist for myself, as it were, and enjoy that I wasn't having to try and get a job to do art, to teach art, to be a graphic designer, to be a set designer, and so I probably suffered with not having that formal education. But in a way, friends who did go that way and have done it as a job, it is a job. So when the end of the day comes, they fold up their work and they don't want to do any more work on their art. It's the pleasure is sort of evaporated for them. It's just a means of a living, and they're very good. They're skilled and they're technically fantastic and all that. But it's almost like I'm allowed to be creative, and they're squashed into a remit of, this is what we want. You know, we don't want that green, we want this green, and we want, you know, a tree on the hill, and we don't want, you know, all of that. And they're good at that, and I can't do that. I'm not able to do that, but I'm glad I didn't. So.
Yeah. I mean, I guess sometimes it's also people's perfectionism that keeps them always unhappy.
Yes, yeah.
I think I'm quite happy that I'm not a perfectionist, because so many people that I consider perfectionists, they're always worrying, and I'm like, you're great. Like, what is that insecurity about? And they're like, no, I need to improve this. And it's not like I don't want to constantly improve, but I'm happy to release work that's imperfect if it expresses how I feel.
I think it's important, yeah.
Yeah. Because in the end of the day, I think you want to deliver a message to the audience, or to the, in your case, probably the person looking at the painting. And it's not like you want to demonstrate, you know, perfection. You want to just demonstrate your soul.
Yeah. I think it's like with musicians, you watch them and the performance is different, you know, each night, depending on the audience, depending on their feeling, and it can be, you know, it's intuitive, and that's what makes live performance so special. If it was always exactly the same, you know, robotic and, you know, all that sort of thing. I mean, I'm only saying this because I'd love to be able to be a perfectionist, but I can't. It's just not my thing. But just have that, I think, to do. The more impediments you put there, so, you know, you've got to have the right equipment, you've got to have the right sound, you've got to have the right this, you've got to have the right, you know, for me, if only I had bigger canvas or better canvas or better paint, and then I could pay. Whereas I think it's just important to do and go for it and have some fun. And I think also that's important, that you don't judge others particularly, or hard. Be kind to others, because you can, you know, and feed off the energy rather than looking for a perfection in what they do as well. Just to, you know, enjoy the spirit, if you like, of what's going on. Because often what is told to us as a kind of perfection, or a kind of art, a kind of film, a kind of, is only prescribed to us because it's monetized, or it's this year's thing. You know, often in history looks back and said, well, it wasn't that good. The really good stuff was happening in the clubs of London or Berlin or Paris or whatever. The pop chart was, yeah, that's what was on the telly, but it was perhaps not as good a quality as everybody thought it was.
With other artists, I've spoken a little bit about the need to be an entrepreneur in a way, to kind of create a living out of art, and to create opportunities for yourself. Because how many times does it happen that somebody knocks at your door and be like, here, I'm gonna sort your life for you, all you have to do is sit at home and paint. Were you ever in that situation where you felt like you wanted to approach it in that way? Or
it's sort of, with friends that I've seen, it's almost like a tortured life for some, and them and their art. And I suppose I'm lucky in one way that I haven't that, maybe it's not having the same ability or the same state of mind, but I've had a lot more fun out of it. And I think that's something to remember, to make, and it's like watching musicians who are successful and make a living. There's some that almost like it's crushing them, and then there's others that they're having a lot of fun, and it's finding that way, and finding the way that suits you is the key to it. And for some it can be a very tough world out there, and others you can find a lot of happiness with doing it, and a lot of a creative outlet that does pay the money for the bills, and you know, and it's, you know, go for it, what you want and how you want. I think trying to fit into something else, somebody else's idea of what you should do, difficult to make it work, and difficult to sustain, because it's hard work, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you spend a lot of time in front of the computer if you wanna, if you think about all the time you used to contact places and then propose your ideas and then organize your ideas and then do the press. Because if you have other people do it, it's really expensive. So I guess starting out, I mean, for me, I would do most of those things myself just to save the money. Because how expensive I can sell tickets for £50.
But that's the thing, that people will see you as a means of them making money, to take money from what you're doing to promote you or to whatever. And often it's quite a cruel world, and you're thinking, well, actually, I thought they'd be on my side. Well, actually, you just, you're a commodity that they can, make some money out of, and it's a tough world. I think the more you can do yourself, or the more you understand, and the more working with people that are in similar situations, and you can work together, maybe, almost like in a little group together, where you only need one promoter for 6 of you, rather than all 6 promoting and all that. It's finding a way of doing it. And also people often, that, if you like, who aren't doing the creative bit, they have no idea. They are not, and yet they're sometimes the arbiter of what is art and not art, and yet they don't create themselves. They're looking at it in terms of, does it sell, doesn't it sell? And for every good promoter, there's been a bad promoter. There's 100 bad promoters that had gold dust in the hands of a great musician, and they always try to, the wrong clubs and the wrong theatres and the wrong galleries and all that sort of thing, thinking, but they're not great. But trust yourself, trust your judgment.
Yeah, I guess everybody has to just do what they want, but I think if you wanna make a living, like, I never wanted to dance as a hobby. I always wanted to make a living from dance. I think you have to realize it comes with sitting on the computer at least like half of the time, trying to organize those things and make them happen.
But creating, say, the event we were at in Toulouse-Lautrec on your own is hard, would be hard work, very hard work.
Yeah.
But with, like, Aurelie, but you get a team together, and you could say, well, there's something that you could take, I'm assuming, but you could, that's something that has a value to it, and you could, look to make it into something interesting and special that you could take to other venues. But you don't have to replicate all the work over and over and over again. It's there, and still have a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, that show is great. I would really like to take it on tour. That would be amazing. But because I feel like the energy is different when you're on the road.
Yeah. Well, hopefully there are going to be more festivals, and sort of for every city in a large town, there's going to be some sort of jazz festival, arts festival, and it'd be nice, for that you'd say, look, this is what we can bring to the party, as it were, and there's funding for that sort of thing.
Yes.
But on each individual trying to do it, you're competing against international setups. Whereas if you can get that together and sort of say, well, we can bring a show together, or we can bring, give you 3 nights in Sheffield or Paris or Hamburg or wherever, or London,
Yeah, it's true. Collaboration really helps. Also helps introducing audiences to especially with multimedia performance, I find, because the painters bring people that like paintings. The musicians bring people that like music.
Yeah.
Dancers
It's different.
bring people that like dance. So suddenly you have this audience, they're coming from all the different collaborators, and they love it because
Yes.
they often haven't experienced the other thing that much before.
And certainly never together, or very, you know, that was the good thing about it. It was a really sort of, there was a real buzz, wasn't there? A real sort of you know, happy feel to it.
Yeah,
positive.
I think it was
very
there.
creative.
Yeah, I think what really made this one special was also that the audience was able to paint as well.
Yes.
So because they were really excited, they were like proudly showing us pictures. Like 2 people gave me their pictures, that their paintings that they make.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think they really liked it. Have you had any multimedia experience like before this, or like similar? No?
No. It was that's what I really enjoyed. It's funny because after the first night, we were going to the tube station at Kennington, and the band was sort of making their way there, and they said that was just fantastic. The whole atmosphere, the whole experience for them was different because it wasn't solely about their performance. There's poets, you know, and they were playing improvised to that. There was, you know, on the different floors of the venue, other things were going on. There's things happening the next day, and it was just a sort of nice for them to be part of something just beyond doing a gig as you would normally do. It was, they said it was just, for them, it was just a great experience as well, which is lovely.
Do you have any favorite painters? Who do you look up to? Or who do you...
Always classics like Cézanne and things like that. I always look at that and think, how do they, you know? But, you know, I look at all, you know, it's like a friend gave me a book on Freud, looking through his paintings and just his development. I think, oh, it's amazing. And I put that book down, and he gave me another one on Bonnard, and you think, oh wow, the colours. And so I'm just hungry for it still, you know, all everything. And it changes, you know, each time I sort of start again, you know, a new fresh canvas, and you just want to do, you know, try and get to something like that, but never done. But you're on that journey, and there's always the possibility, a fresh start, a fresh chance to create something special. One day.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
That was my next question, actually. Like, what books do you read?
At the moment, I've got a book. It's called How to See. So that's all about art and perception. I've got a biography of Lucian Freud, the painter, and one of Bob Mortimer, the comedian, which is nice. It's all good. So I read that, you know, eclectic mix. How about yourself?
I'm really addicted to biographies of musicians that I like. But I, in general, read a lot about music history. I'm interested because I'm really interested in jazz, and especially with tap dance. It's very closely connected to jazz. So I read a lot about, you know, Black American history and music history, biographies. I love biographies. I don't know, I find it so inspiring to read biographies. It's not like I compare myself, but I feel like it always energizes myself, you know, like so many artists overcame so much.
Yes,
so when I'm faced with adversity, I'm like, well, he had it worse and he was, you know, keeping on. Like, I have no reason to like sit here and have a pity party.
Keep going, keep going.
Yeah. It's quite hard for me to read and retain information because I really struggle with concentration. So I kind of force myself to read, which is like often is not the most enjoyable thing to do. But then I really just want the information that's in the book because I'm like constantly curious about things. So I guess I have to do it.
Yes, audio books are good.
Yeah.
You can have, let them do the work.
I listen to a lot of audiobooks, but I also listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff like that because I just find it motivational, you know.
Yes, yeah. I heard, well, it was on Twitter, an actor saying about he's always struggled to read Ulysses by James Joyce. It's a difficult book. And I thought, yeah, me too. I've always struggled. And then he said, and then I heard the audio book of it with good readers, and it just came to life. And that was exactly what the same experience I had. You know, everyone said, "Oh, read, that's great." I mean, I struggled. And then when I heard it, it was just like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. So sometimes it's a good thing to do, isn't it? Just to, you know, sort of fill the imagination with another voice of your own.
Mm. Another thing I really do all the time is watch documentaries.
Right, yeah.
Because that's also like, I don't know, I feel like I need constant input.
Yes.
Of ideas, of thoughts, of people's stories, of, you know, history. So, yeah, I almost consider documentaries like a book because
yeah.
They're like book and pictures.
I think also, yeah, I think I suffer from, I need, you know, so, you know, Instagram, Twitter, all that sort of thing. But sometimes you watch a documentary, it gives, and if it's done well, it really sort of, it builds into your memory and your mind lots of different things and structures, and you're thinking, yeah, when it's done well, it's a fantastic medium, isn't it, to absorb the information, which sometimes books just can't do, you know.
I really like to know the background story of things. It fills it with more life for me.
Yes, yeah, and you get that sort of, you know, how did we get where we are? And so, you know, I do that with art sometimes, where I'm, you know, you have a view of a painter or an artist, and you sort of like, because it's become, like, say, somebody like Andy Warhol's become almost like cliched and what it is, and then you go back and you see his journey, and you sort of think, yeah, he sort of got it. What he did, everybody does now. I do it on with Photoshop, and I do it, you know, lots of people do it in every advert, commercially, but he did it. He sort of did it, you know, before others were doing it, you know, and you think, yeah, that's sometimes an artist is going his own way, doing his own thing, whether you like it or not. You just think, yeah, I can see why he became what he became, and what, you know, and you've got that thread going through time, if you like, you know.
Didn't Andy Warhol work with Christopher Cunningham?
Yes, a little bit. Yes, yeah, no relation. But yeah, and I mean, Miss Cunningham was a lot of my little knowledge of him was a lot of experimental art, experimental collaborations, music, painters, poets, all of that. Yes, important.
Well, him and John Cage took it that far that they didn't let the dancers listen to the music before the show. So John Cage composed the music and rehearsed with the orchestra, and the dancers rehearsed the movement. But Merce Cunningham didn't want the dancers to be like the slave of the music, so they weren't allowed to listen. So they only heard the music when they were actually, like when they were performing.
Yeah. A typical Cunningham.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say?
I've really enjoyed this, Petra. No, I'm fine. Yes, just hope, you know, just maybe inspire somebody. That'd be great. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
No, thank you, and bon chance, and look forward to seeing it on YouTube. Yeah.